here. Another day in not Los Angeles, San Francisco, as close to it as I can possibly get. I just can't do outings. Sitting in a restaurant or something adjacent to a restaurant was quite the experience. I think I mentioned it before how this San Francisco area is employing more ninjas or whatever, but they really do like to sneak plus learn about the ongoing legislative work, the capital, various bills, and more. We look forward to serving you. Signed, Robert. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, so I won't get it right. Speaker of the Assembly. All right, so it says here you're supposed to be involved in your state's legislative process. Show this on backwards. Don't look, don't look. Ugh. There we go. All right. There we go. My hair's such a mess. Hair's such a mess. Oh, bit of an update. So the people from the Sandy Hook Fund or whatever contacted me again. So let me see if I can pull that up as well because I want to read that off verbatim what they sent. Hold on just one second. While I'm trying to pull this up, I can say that I'm not the only one with a service animal. I saw another handicapable person, differently abled person, and the man was in a wheelchair, and he had a dog about the size of this one. So yeah, I'm sorry. Here's Echo. All right, I'm supposed to find this thing, and I don't know where it is. I know it's got to be in here somewhere. Like I keep referring to it on and on. There it is. Okay, so let me read this off. I think I was just trying to say that it's more relevant than ever, the need for service animals, and also the need to reintegrate dogs into human life. They're not they're not pets, they're extensions of yourself, of your emotions, of your pain and your suffering. Because of my military sexual trauma, I worry constantly about harm, self harm, especially because It's extremely depressing that the only interaction I seem to have in California lately is negative, and not because people are actively doing anything that is violent or sexually aggressive. It's just my interpretation of it because I've had several bad experiences in the California area. So my dogs are trained to not let me harm myself, not let me slip into a fog of depression. Psychiatric service animals. I'm the best trainer for that. If you'd like a psychiatric service animal and would like me to train one for you, let me know. I have a petition, so several Californians agree that I should be the official service animal trainer for people with psychiatric conditions such as PTSD or maybe anxiety, even depression. Post traumatic stress disorder encompasses all of that, but that's not the only affliction that people have. Sometimes it's too much. But I have thousands, thousands of signatures from Californians who validate my expertise in training service animals. Anyway, let's go back to that statement. Oh, from these people. They call themselves the Sandy Hook Promise, and they say, difficult news, we fell short of our Giving Tuesday goal. Last night, we fell incredibly short of our 2 million Giving Tuesday goal. Making up this shortfall is absolutely essential to expanding our work to prevent more school shootings in the new year. So we're asking for your urgent help to help us secure every dollar of our 2 million of match funding. A group of generous donors has extended their triple match offer, but only until midnight. This is your last chance to triple your impact up to our 2 million of match funds. So please take a look at your supporter record for this match. Please rush your first donation of $10 or as much as you can to Sandy Hook Promise before midnight. When you give today, your impact can go 3 times as far, up to our $2 million of match funding toward preventing school shootings and saving precious lives. Right now, firearms remain the leading cause of death for children in our country. No shit. But this is not an inevitable reality. These tragedies are preventable, and our proven gun violence prevention programs have helped stop multiple school shooting plots just this year alone, saving countless lives. That's why it's so important we close this gap so we can expand our work and prevent more tragedies. We will never, ever give up on this work to honor our loved ones by protecting more people from gun violence, and your support makes that possible. We couldn't be more grateful. It's from a PO Box 3489, Sandy Hook Promise Foundation in Newton, Connecticut, 06470, somewhere in the United States, I guess. So the reason I'm reading that off and discussing this is because it sickens me to the core. It sickens me to the core that instead of addressing the issue head on and not worrying about, oh, I'm going to step on some political toes, and the First Amendment, to say that you have the freedom of speech to speak out against it. I mean, there's that, but then there's the Second Amendment where your right to bear arms comes into question. Cut through that bullshit, cut through it, and just close the damn schools. Sorry, but this is bullshit. This is bullshit. They want $2 million to do what? Because it's not going to bring any dead children back. And I know that this isn't exactly the thing that people like to talk about, but it makes them uncomfortable. But let's be uncomfortable for a second, because I'm sick and tired, and I really should unsubscribe. But, when you get emails like that, you just say, am I the type of person who just lets people like this put that kind of energy into the world? Misdirecting people, misdirecting funds that people need. I don't ask for any money for anything that I do. I mean, I really should consider maybe some sort of fundraising at some point, but for a goal like that, it just doesn't make sense. If you love your kids, pull them out of school. If you want to see them with better guarantee of making it to 18, pull them out of those schools. Those schools have been bad. They've been corrupted, rotted from the inside out. Sometimes it's, well, you got gangs. Sometimes it's, well, you got drugs. Sometimes it's just you allow bullying to go on in your homes and in your schools. And the schools have always had a policy of, well, I mean, I guess it's zero tolerance, but, I mean, what can we really do about it? Kids are going to be kids. They're going through a phase right now. They have to figure shit out. It's like, no, no, take responsibility and say, as the adults in that situation, you should be supervising everything. What the fuck is this? You give your kids to strangers and you expect anything less than perfection? You're a fool. You're a fool. Those people who suffered through the Sandy Hook went through a tragedy which the only way to prevent is to say, take your kids back. Don't donate them to a federal agency like a school or, I guess state agency, whatever. But either way, don't donate it to that and then say, I'm still getting my kid back. No, you're not. You raise your kid in your house, and your kid is a product of you for the most part, and what you put in front of the fucking eyeballs. But when you say, oh, start kindergarten, start middle school, start high school, you are giving up control. Education, Department of Education, when they created that program, they were saying, you're not going to teach your kids. You're not going to do it. You don't have the time to do it. Get back to work. Get back to work. You got to make rent. You got to pay that electric bill. I keep mentioning that fucking electric bill because I say to myself, the extra fucking hours that American parents have to work and slave away to pay a measly fucking bill is time that they could be sitting down with their kids doing homework or just asking, how was your day? And not be so fucking exhausted that they have to say, I can't even ask how your day is because my day is now over. I'm drained. I'm going to bed. But Americans never want to talk about that. They never want to talk about where's your family? Where is your family, America? I want to talk about it. I have to because your politicians are never going to have this kind of conversation. They'll drag you around in circles over and over and over again, and they'll promise you the world. They will promise you everything. I'm not going to promise you anything. I'm just going to say, take your fucking responsibility back. Take your responsibility. If you want to see the safety of your kids, take your kids out of that fucking hellhole. You may say to yourself, well, it's not one of those neighborhoods. We've got the right kind of people in this neighborhood. It's like, you don't even fucking know, do you? How many questions do you ask? How many? Not enough. Because these things keep happening. They never said in this that they stopped all of them. Now, if it doesn't affect you, good for you. Good for you. You win a prize. But if you were affected by it or you are disgusted by it, then you need to speak up because this is your country. And if you think that, gun violence only happens in the schools, it's like, no, it happens in the workplace too. It happens in the workplace. It happens in malls. It happens in movie theaters, concerts. We have been infected with a meme virus. And yeah, I will call you out every single time I say that. The CDC doesn't want to talk about it. I will talk about it because I am trying to be your Surgeon General with maybe a constitutional amendment. So maybe by the time that actually passes, it will be a moot point. But either way, I'm trying. I'm trying at least. I know it would be difficult to say either I have to take my kid to work with me or maybe I have to work at home. But if you raise something inside of you, I'm talking to the women. I know. I do not get along with either of you, but I had lunch today and I sat next to lovely Muslim woman and her older friend or maybe relative, and we just sat in companionable silence. And she had no reason to talk to me. I had no reason to talk to her, and I just said, she's gonna live a life of whatever, but she probably thinks about the same issues that I do. And that idea of just sitting in silence together and just saying, you know what, I don't need to know you. I don't need to know your name. We will sit in silence. And you know what? Have a nice day. I don't have to say that to you. I don't have to do the dance of, oh, your dogs are cute or whatever. Just like I'm not going to respond to something like that. But I will try and at least through the internet have this conversation with women because I don't know. I feel as if you're being pressured, you're being peer pressured. And I understand peer pressure. I really do. I was peer pressured at the VA when I told them I wanted to see only male staff, and they said, "Oh, well, your nurse practitioner is female," and I said, no. But they said, "Oh, well, we can give you a bigger room." So I said, you know what? Let me get through this. Let me get through this because I was already thinking to myself, this just isn't the system for me. It really isn't. I'm done. I said specifically no to something, and they disrespected me. So I'm done with going through VA healthcare. Back to the what I was trying to say, if you're a woman and you carry something inside of you for fucking 9 months, and then it comes out and you take care of it for as long as you can, that's yours. That is yours. That is precious to you. To you alone. You want to believe that the rest of the village or town or city that you live in feels the same exact way. That when you drop your kid off at that school, whatever school that they're going to, that school is filled with good, decent people in good, decent families that bring good, decent kids to be next to your kid. That is not true at all. It's proven by Sandy Hook itself. There is a fucking problem here. Stop trusting these goddamn schools. You don't need $2 million for that. You need to say, I'm done. I'm done. You know, at least when I was in school a while ago, they had something called a permission slip, where if they were going to, let's say, take your child, they had to actually sign your name next to your parents' name in order to let that happen. Or if they were going to teach something like sex education, you needed to have that done. Are we asking these schools what they're really teaching our kids? Are we asking that at all? Because they tell you the syllabus. Oh, you're going to be reading Huckleberry Finn. You're going to be, reading about American history. You're going to be doing all that. Chemistry, good, great. What they don't tell you is that by going to these schools, they get another curriculum too. They get a curriculum of drugs, binge drinking, anorexia, bulimia, bullying, cyberbullying, homophobia, xenophobia. They're getting a curriculum on that. But they don't ask your permission for that because they say, well, I mean, those are teenagers or those are kids. Kids are being kids. It's like, no, no. Your other kid is teaching, speaking as a hypothetical parent, my kid, how to be violent or how to be a victim. Take your fucking kids out of that. Why the fuck are you asking for $2 million for anything? Close the damn schools. Don't ask me for a fucking cent. Wake up, people. I was a little distressed earlier because a leaf fell on my dog and I was just so freaked out. But then I said, that must mean that I'm right. The universe is telling me. I'm all about the nature science. So yeah, I said the universe must be telling me that it is time for systemic change. For systemic change. I'm not talking about a bloody revolution. Absolutely not. I hate you fucking California people for the amount of torture you put me under. But I also say that there is a serious fucking cancer in the rest of America. And as much as I dislike you playing peekaboo with me like I'm a fucking 5-year-old, maybe you might see sense and say, we get more by just shutting down this whole fucking cycle of torture, shame, and just negligence on the part of the parents, negligence on the part of the teachers, negligence on the part of the community itself. Where is that fucking permission slip for your fucking schools to teach my kid? Oh, no, no, no! You're fat. You're fat. You don't belong here. You're too fat. Finger down the throat. Get that done. Oh, you know, if you just put out more, people will like you. That is what they teach your school. Is it the teacher doing it? No, but they're learning that Where is that permission slip? Get your fucking lazy asses Americans into that fucking ballot box, into the face of every politician you keep fucking hiring, and tell them, where is that permission slip? Because if you didn't give permission for them to corrupt your fucking kids and then corrupt the kids around your kids, then you put your kids in trouble. You put your kids in peril. $2 million. $2 million. Give $10. Give $10. Or just say, you know what? You were getting straight A's. What, you think you were gonna go to fucking prom and that the homecoming queen is gonna give you a blowjob under the bleachers that night? Fuck off. Go to a fucking business or start your own. Wake up, people. And to that parent of that homecoming queen, you spend a lot of time. You pick out the dresses, you do the hair, you do the makeup, and do you ever stop to say, yeah, but what happens after? Now, I'm not trying to minimize the wonderful impact of a ball gown for fucking millennials or Z's or whatever they are at this point. Enjoy your fucking party, but if that party is just a way to make a sitting duck of your kid as someone goes rampant with a gun, no, no. Tell your kid, hey, you're a social media influencer, you have this many followers, go work at fucking Allure magazine, go work for Vogue, get an internship, fly to New York, get an apartment, fly to Milan, go travel the fucking world. Now, California doesn't want to fucking, pay a fucking dime for shit like that because, that's an investment for people who may leave and never come back. There are ways to balance it out. There are ways. I wish California could see that human life is precious. I wish California, at the very least, can be smarter than the East Coast and beat this by saying how you teach and what is being taught needs a large microscope. A large microscope. Get those eyeballs on it because no one's asking those questions. I ask those questions. I don't have a fucking skin in that game, except for the fact that, I was assaulted twice in that shitty fucking Los Angeles by a community that said, no, I don't need to get involved in that. And, someone's calling another person a fag, and, it's clearly a hate crime, but I don't have to speak up. Why would I speak up? Why indeed, Los Angeles? Why would you speak up? Why would you not call the police? Hmm? Hmm? You got shit to say, Los Angeles, California, at all? No, I didn't think so. Because that's how they're raised. That's how they're brought up to think that if you're not the one being bullied, then what the fuck does it matter? Stick your fucking head in the sand and just count your blessings. It wasn't you this time. It wasn't you. Bravo, California. Bravo. You got me fooled with all the fucking rainbows and the flags of transgender inclusion, but no, no, you're just as bigoted as the rest of them. Because you allow that hate to fucking fester and you don't have a backbone in your single citizen. And I'm still waiting on the police to contact me about where the fuck my assailants are. But no, I mean it's just a hate crime against a gay person of two spirits. What the fuck does that matter? Thank you, California. Good people here. Like I said, I refuse to live my life in anger. I'm going to heal the fuck out of you. I will banish this bitchy fucking attitude in California that thinks that they can have a violent nature toward people of the LGBTQIA. I have my organizations and to start doing more with that. But I've already shortened my fucking lease because of all the PTSD days off I have to take. It's not a job to me. It's what needs to happen. It needs. I'm sorry. I can't even fucking speak. My nose is fucking congested too. This is the first time I've really experienced winter. And there's trees all over the fucking place too. Like this place is so nice. I want to like it. I really want to like it. Because as I said, if you've been to California, it's hard to go back. No matter how bullshit and batshit crazy these people fucking are. It's hard to go back because you look at the country and you just say, you people are stressed, you people are less vocal about it, you don't try to change. California is changing, it's just not changing fast enough for me. So I'm going to continue to do podcasts like this where we tackle deep issues. Gun violence. I was supposed to do a whole month dedicated to it, but I, I have PTSD, so yeah, I take on a lot. I take on a lot. I take on more than I probably should, but I had a conversation yesterday about that. The whole idea of you can't just be one thing and expect to provide everything in your life. You have to give more, but in a way that makes sense for you. I mean, me personally, I can't work. So volunteering and helping out in my community, those are things that I can barely do, but they're important to me. So I'm going to continue to do so. I have to speak to the California state legislature. I have to try and get them to examine this idea of human life is precious, and especially the lives of our children. If we can divert the vast majority of them out of these schools to just go start your life, go learn who you are, mature more, experience things so that you can function as an adult and don't end up like me, who just was grasping at straws with the military and ended up so damaged and so alone. You don't want to end up like me. So if we can get more kids into internships or early admission, if that can be a goal, I think we can see something change. I think we can see that you're saving the best and the brightest of our generation. You're also giving more time and space for those who really need it. because underneath all that bravado that children have, they're just looking for guidance. They're looking for someone to teach them how to live, how to make their family proud. It takes a village or community to really raise a person. And when you reduce class sizes and you hire a lot of fucking people as staff who are specialized in the cornucopia of things that teenagers deal with, you will see a change in crime, in birth rates, and also income. If you are able to secure your livelihood earlier in life, you can also retire earlier in life, or you can just completely change career paths and do something else, anything else, or do nothing if that brings you peace. I want to say that my idea of closing those schools is a strong enough bill to make it stand on its own. It's like I don't think it's an island in the ocean. I think it's tied directly to work-life balance and our income. When you have poor people, when you have overworked people, you have shitty fucking parents. It's not that they don't love. It's just it's hard to love and be an effective parent when you're just drained emotionally, financially, spiritually. And do I think that the time has come to at least start a dialogue? I am all about those ultimatums, but what do I know? Could we at least talk about it though? Could we maybe talk about if you had more money in your pocket and you didn't have to work an extra 2 to 3 hours, who do you really want to spend your time with? Be honest. Do you want to spend that time with your coworkers, with your boss, begging for a raise, or do you just want to spend it at home with your kids, surrounded by everyone and everything you love? Those solar panels and the idea of free energy throughout the entire city puts money back in your wallet and time back in your life. You can always raise the California minimum wage, but that's just an incentive for people to work longer hours, hours away from their family, away from the only thing that really matters. And I do love saying that I'm a socialist. So maybe it is a bit socialist to think, can you maybe go beyond money and start talking about quality of life, public health, morals and standards? These are things that can be instilled in people when they have a little extra time. The money does help, it does, but time is what we really, really need. Do we need more time spent on education? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And do I think that people who are escaping the high school experience to do my new internship program with my proposed bill should finish the rest of their high school competencies. Oh, yes, I do. It would only make them stronger. I do wish the people who thought up that email good luck, good luck, because if they send me another, I'm just going to read it again. I'm going to read it again because I live in this country, and if I dislike something, I'm going to speak up. I dislike gun violence in our schools, not because I think guns are bad. I don't. I don't think we should live in a society that thinks defending yourself reasonably is ever off the table. So why don't American parents defend their right to remain involved as their parent? Don't give up control of your kids to anything. During the whole process of having that weigh in where they were trying to just get as much PTSD, juju fucking energy, I don't even fucking know. Like, I mean, I consider myself a magician, but this is just some dark manipulation kind of shit that they were trying at that VA. But even more than that, I was struggling a bit because I've got two service animals. I'm stressed. I'm completely stressed, and the nurse or whatever the fuck you want to call him, he turns to me and says, you can hand me the leash, and I'll hold it while you take care of this. I told him no. I didn't have to bite his fucking head off, but I had to make it very, very clear that you never give up control of something that is precious to you to anyone. You don't give control of your wallet to people. You don't give up control of your kids. You don't give up control of your property. And those prosthetics are property of me. I don't give that up for fucking anyone. He was trying to be, nice about it. I'm like, no, 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 no. You can take your niceness and go shove it up your ass. Where is that fight and tenacity? Like, fuck you, Air Force. Fuck you, Air Force, because I am a great father in the making. And because of my PTSD, how am I ever going to find my bride? How? When, quite frankly, I'm so fucking turned off by women that, it has to have a penis and a beard. So gay, so gay. Cannot even entertain the idea of bisexuality, even though Bisexuality Visibility Day is really important. Hmm. Where the hell is my husband? Well, Where is My Husband by Ian Iliona is currently available on Spotify, Apple Music. It should be on Amazon Music by now. And it's on YouTube Music. It's probably on Tidal. But if you would like to hear my rendition of Ray's song, Where is My Husband? Please, please go to your streaming platform of your choice and listen to Ian Iliona's version of Where is My Husband? I know you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining me on my podcast. My name is Ian Iliona. I'm an environmentalist, mutant superhero, werewolf, one hell of a dilf to all my twinks. And I don't know, I guess I don't want to run for office at any point because that's just an empty fucking job. Empty fucking job. But I do consider myself a village leader, despite my PTSD outbursts. If people agree with me, great. If you disagree, you have the right to do so. And I have the right to suggest to the state legislature that we change things for the better, that we insulate ourselves from, I guess, I'll keep saying it, the cancerous growths that are popping out all across this country. I'd love to take all the programs that I discuss with the California state legislature nationwide, but I still believe in states' rights. I believe that if you believe in the school system after all the blood of children that have rained down walls from trusting parents letting go, that's you. Me, on the other hand, I'm just saying no. I'm saying homeschool, internship, early admission. And yeah, rezone those fucking schools so that you have a police substation right there, raise the curb, have a fucking security checkbox on the one and only road, like rebuild the school altogether. And yes, if you don't have the fucking money to do so, then you parents have to fucking talk to each other, talk to each other, and say, I'm gonna fucking do this over the weekend, and I need the other. You see, when you do a bake sale for your fucking kids' trip to the aquarium, good for you as a parent. Good for you. But when your school has a roof that needs repairs, or they need new textbooks, or they want to upgrade their technology center, and you say, I can't afford to either donate money to it or donate the time to unload boxes or whatever, then you're not involved in your child's education. And that is disappointing. So, yes, in some cases, these schools really do need to be rebuilt. They need to be restructured. They need to hire architects and say, what the fuck do these kids need to learn now? Like, what do they need? Like, do we need specialized lockers that they put their cell phones in so they're not on TikTok, or they're trying to do an Instagram dance in the middle of a fucking physics class? Like, I'm not talking about taking away your phone. I'm saying we need to upgrade how we do things. We need to think about a future where the human brain is considered to be a value, and the sanctity of innocence can be protected without the large negative influence of drugs, violence, and bullying and peer pressure into destructive behaviors. And yes, you can make a lot of money as an influencer, and it's a life skill. It is a life skill to be an influencer. You may say to yourself as a young person that, yeah, you're doing makeup tutorials, or you're talking about the latest video games, and there are people who subscribe to that. You're doing a life skill of oration, you're doing a life skill of organization, you're learning how to speak up. And that's an American quality that should never dwindle. So I don't disagree with modern technology, but we need to have a conversation about how it's integrated. I mean, if somebody wants to do a TikTok dance in the middle of class, maybe you do let them do it, but you make them recite the lesson while doing it in order to maintain the fucking privilege of having it. Like, meet them halfway at the very least. Mhm. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I have my little fucking keyboard here. I'm gonna try and make it as eloquent as I can with my terrible English, and see if I can make it coherent enough to propose it as a bill. Because I use change.org and I can get signatures. Anyone can get signatures. But what we need is action. What we need is to maybe go beyond and say, we need referendums. We need more than just a proposed bill. We need people to make a decision right here, right now, in the present. Do we want soul draining schools that invite self violence and violence into your families? Or do we want wonderful beacons of knowledge and hope, inspiring young people to reach heights that perhaps their parents weren't able to? I would like to think that higher education always has a place in our community. I hope to see you on the next podcast.